You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey! Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokettes and non-toking lovers of liberty. It is Thursday, September 11th, 2014, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. And of course, as a nation, Americans all across this land are remembering the 13th anniversary of the terrorist attacks in New York City. The day the towers fell. Everyone has their story as to what they were doing when the towers fell. I was working. I was teaching a class in project management that could not be canceled. Every other class in the school was canceled except mine because a bunch of guys had come from out of state and all over to attend the class. So I had to try to teach project management software while people were still reeling from the attacks of 9/11. That's my story. Also, if you check my Throwback Thursday post on Twitter, at Radical Russ, you'll see my picture from 1996 from the World Trade Center observation deck. So that memory is burned into all our collective consciousness, and we will always remember the people who lost their lives in Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and New York City on September 11th, 2001. All right, let's get on to our show today. We are just jam-packed full with more coverage of the Oregon marijuana election shenanigans. In the Radical Rant today, I'll show you how these Oregon marijuana education summits somehow only seem to happen when marijuana legalization is on the ballot. We've also got to look at a county prevention worker who may have been using county resources to illegally campaign against our marijuana legalization. Also on the show today, we're going to take a look behind the headlines at a trend called swatting. And it has nothing to do with flying insects and everything to do with damaging people's homes and lives and security and privacy. We'll tell you all about it in Behind the Headlines right after the 420 radio news. Also in drug war data mining, we've got some new data from Quest Diagnostics. They are the nation's leading drug testing industry provider. They're the ones behind most of the workplace drug tests that are taken in this country. And we got some new data regarding marijuana drug test positives and oxycodone drug test positives. And on today's show, we also get our first little video feature from our new intern, Big Island Zane. Zane's got a dispensary interview for us today that we'll be playing at 1:30. But first, we start off with the 420 radio news. And in the headlines today, we have got all sorts of interesting things to cover, including a look at Colorado and the polls, how the people feel about marijuana legalization even now. Parents making a case for medical marijuana in Georgia. We got Lancaster, Pennsylvania voting to legalize medical marijuana, or at least resolving that it should be legalized. We've got a candidate in Ohio for governor who has endorsed medical marijuana. A look at the Northwest power grid and how legalization in Oregon could affect demand for electricity up here. And an alderman in Chicago who wants to drug test the drivers who are supplying rides through ride-sharing applications Uber and Lyft. Of course, he's associated with the city's taxi cab industry. We'll tell you all about that in the 420 radio news. And then in hour 2, Toker Talk Radio, we've got even more for you. We'll continue on the Oregon marijuana education shenanigans. Also, we've got an Off the Warpath segment on the NFL. Chuck Diesel will be calling in with Groovin' Thursday. We got some music from Talib Kweli and Madlib. And then we'll take a look at your right to film police officers while they're doing their duties in public. And we'll end things up with a couple of stupid prohibition stories. It's all coming up on the Russ Belville Show.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
420 Radio, the activist radio station.
Join us for the International Cannabis Business Conference September 13th and 14th in the Portland Ballroom at the Oregon Convention Center. The International Cannabis Business Conference will focus on the emerging cannabis industry in Oregon, the United States, and around the world, putting you in front of the industry's foremost entrepreneurs, political leaders, and attorneys. Also showcasing over 40 cannabis-related industry exhibitors, offering VIP lunches and free nightly networking events. Prepare yourself for America's next great industry.
420radio.org presents Gordon Green's Music Planet from Barcelona, Spain. Gordon Green has been traveling the world for more than 20 years, discovering and collecting great music along the way. His mix of eclectic sounds from around the globe prove that you don't have to understand the words to enjoy the music. Check out the show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Time, with replays Wednesday at 5 and 8 Pacific on 420.
Mike Schwab is a former middle school science and math teacher. Currently, he works with Children Daily as an after-school program leader.
Currently, kids have easy access to marijuana with little understanding of its impact. We can take better care of our kids through Measure 91 with strict regulations and funding for proven marijuana education and prevention programs to keep kids from using it. Under our current marijuana laws, one mistake can ruin a life. Measure 91 removes unfairly harsh punishment for marijuana offenses and gets more tax money to local police and drug prevention. Vote yes on 91.
It's time for the 420 Radio News, covering the latest headlines in consumer cannabis, medical marijuana, and industrial hemp. Transcripts of 420 Radio News are available daily on our website at 420radio.org. Now, here's Russ Belville with your marijuana headlines in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. This is your 420 Radio News for Thursday, September 11th, 2014. Colorado not suffering buyer's remorse over legal marijuana, poll finds, from the Huffington Post. A new NBC News Marist poll shows that 55% of adult Colorado residents back the law that legalized the regulated use, possession, and sale of cannabis by adults. The poll found that 41% oppose the law, including 8% who said they are actively trying to overturn the legislation. Asking a differently phrased question about retail marijuana in the state, other surveys have found similar levels of support. In February, a Quinnipiac poll found that 58% of state voters supported marijuana legalization. A March survey from Public Policy Polling finds that 57% of Colorado voters are still in favor of legal cannabis. Parents make the case for medical marijuana in Georgia from 11alive.com. Georgia lawmakers held a hearing Wednesday in Macon to gather information about medical marijuana and help determine whether to legalize it in the state. Efforts to pass legislation to legalize medical marijuana failed last year, but parents are determined to fight for a different outcome. Lawmakers heard story after story from parents desperate for treatment for their children's medical conditions. Aaron Kleppinger, who moved his family to Colorado to get medical marijuana for his son Hunter, says it's had a dramatic effect on his seizures. Quote, "In Georgia, we got an average of 1 to 2 EMS calls every month saying the school was calling EMS for a seizure that lasted beyond 5 to 10 minutes, said Kleppinger. In Colorado, not one, end quote. The panel heard a similar story from an Atlanta police officer who said his 11-year-old son is 85% seizure-free under cannabis therapy. The panel is expected to make recommendations to the legislature during the next session. What does Lancaster City marijuana resolution mean? From WGAL.com. Lancaster City Council gave a unanimous vote Tuesday night to a resolution supporting a change in state law that would allow medical marijuana use. Decriminalizing marijuana was dropped from the resolution that the City Council passed Tuesday night. Now, councilmen hope their vote sends a message to the state capitol. That's where the state Senate could take up legalizing medical marijuana next week. State Republican Mike Fulmer is behind the state's medical marijuana bill. The law would carve out room for anti-seizure marijuana oils and prohibits smoking pot with a prescription. Fulmer hopes support from a city of 60,000 will make an impact with lawmakers. Governor Corbett says he will not sign the bill if it lands on his desk. Ed Fitzgerald endorses medical marijuana in naked last-ditch ploy for votes, from clevelandscene.com. Yesterday, Ed Fitzgerald gave a phone interview to the Cincinnati Enquirer in which he came out in favor of legalizing medical marijuana in Ohio. This news comes just days after one poll showed that Fitz, the current Cuyahoga County executive and Democratic candidate for governor, was trailing Governor John Kasich by 19 points. John Kasich, along with plenty of Republicans and just about every other elected official in Ohio, is on the other side, saying the science doesn't support medical marijuana. Nevertheless, some 87% of Ohioans support legalizing medical marijuana, according to a Quinnipiac poll. Pot producers add demand on Northwest power grid from the Albuquerque Journal. As more marijuana producers move their plants indoors over the next 2 decades, the grow operations in Washington state are expected to need as much electricity each year as what a small Northwest city consumes, according to an energy forecast by regional power planners. Demands on the Northwest electrical grid would grow further if Oregon voters pass a ballot initiative in November to legalize recreational pot use, the Northwest Power and Conservation Council said. Alderman wants mandatory drug testing for ride-sharing drivers from the Chicago Sun-Times. Chicago drivers for Uber, Lyft, and other ride-sharing companies would be subject to annual drug testing under a crackdown proposed Wednesday by Southside Alderman Roderick Sawyer, who introduced an ordinance that would require drivers to be tested annually prior to license renewal. Drivers who test positive for drugs would be barred from operating a ride-sharing vehicle for at least 1 year. They would not be allowed to return until they pass another drug test. Alderman Roderick Sawyer is known for his support of the Chicago taxicab industry. This has been your 420 Radio News for Thursday, September 11th, 2014. I'm Russ Belville. 420 Radio, the home of marijuana experts.
There's so much I worry about as a mom. Stephen Harper thinks that organized crime should continue to profit from marijuana prohibition. Imagine regulating marijuana like alcohol and cigarettes with a strong and clear educational message, making it more difficult for my kids and your kids to access. Drug dealers don't ask for ID. Stephen Harper does not have the kind of judgment we need to protect our children, authorized by the normal.
Despite strong public support for medical cannabis, decriminalization, and legalization in Georgia, the state spends $121 million every year to arrest, prosecute, and imprison Georgians for simple possession. Each year, the state of Georgia spends less on driver services, agriculture, and forestry combined. What else can $121 million a year do in Georgia? With that much money, the state could hire and keep 3,000 more teachers, improve roads and bridges, provide tax relief for small businesses, repair aging sewage systems, or lower taxes. But right now, that's millions of dollars of your tax money wasted on failed enforcement. Tell your representative you're tired of wasteful spending and ask them to end cannabis prohibition. Join the conversation at www.peachtreenormal.org. Peachtree Normal is a proud affiliate of NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws.
Welcome back, everybody. 14 after the hour. And today in Behind the Headlines, we are taking a look at something called swatting. We're not talking about swatting a fly. We're talking about the use of computerized technology to spoof. Spoofing is a tech term meaning to make a communication seem as if it originated from a place it did not originate from. So basically, these guys, these online gamers and hackers, are able to make it look to 911 as if a call is coming from your house. And then they put out the prank. The prank is to tell the 911 operator that there's a hostage situation, there's a suicidal person with a gun, whatever it might be, to entice the SWAT teams to come break down the doors and rush into the home of the prank victim. Now, this began through the gamer world. Swatting, the idea here was that you'd be in an online game and you knew where your opponent happened to live. And in these online games, oftentimes they have microphone and camera on the player. So the SWAT team would arrive, and then all the opponents would get to watch this guy get taken down by the SWAT and arrested. And this is the first I had heard of this, and I've been, in the marijuana reform movement for a while, but this is the first I'd heard of this. A story came across from NBC Connecticut, where they had a problem in Greenwich, Connecticut. Officer Joseph Race of the Madison Police Department pointed out that, quote, "It puts not only our responding officers in danger, the motoring public in danger, because now it's other cars that have to get out of the way for our emergency lights, but also the homeowner." Well, no kidding. And maybe the homeowner's dog, for that matter, who ends up getting shot in this no-knock raid that would happen. There's a story I picked up from Millville, New Jersey, where a hostage situation turns out to be a swatting prank. City police received an emergency alert over the weekend of an armed individual, possibly with a hostage, purportedly barricaded on Dove Drive. But again, it was video gamers faking the emergency call about their opponents. And of course, this takes police away from their duties where they could actually have a real call to have to deal with, and their emergency services are dealing with some video game prank. Now, the way they were able to deduce this was a hoax is the police called some of the neighbors in the area to ask them, hey, do you see anything going down? Have you heard anything that's going on? And the neighbors confirmed that everything was calm and quiet, and so they were able to determine this was a hoax. But that in itself is another problem in delaying the response of police SWAT teams to having to confirm whether or not the SWAT call is actually real. Another headline I found, Bradenton man victim of swatting again. For the second time this month, Bradenton, Florida police were called out to a home to investigate false reports. A guy named Mike Dolan was playing an online game, and someone called the police to report he had killed his wife and was hunting down their daughter. On Saturday, it happened again. This time, someone called to report a bomb inside the guy's house. Officers searched it and found nothing. Now, looking at our chat room, our friend Hi in Hawaii asks, what if it's a grower's home? Glad you asked. From the Chicago Tribune, YouTube's White Boy Seventhst won't face pot charge. Well-known YouTube personality will not face a marijuana charge after a so-called swatting brought police to his house. Alexander Walks, who produces video game-themed content under the name Whiteboy7THST, Seventhst, was arrested August 17th after Plainfield police said they entered his house in response to a false report of an armed and suicidal person, only to find at least 30 grams of marijuana inside. It was the third episode within a month in which Walks was the victim of a false report of swatting. Walks and his housemate faced felony charge of the manufacture of delivery of 30 to 500 grams of cannabis, but the state's attorney's office dropped the case because the swatting call did not provide the probable cause necessary to get that evidence entered into court. They said it was a unique set of circumstances and the evidence might not survive the motion to suppress. Of course, I got to say, after your first or second swatting, maybe it's time to take the pot out of the house, Alexander. You got caught on the third time around? All right. Here's another one. A judge orders arrest of teen linked to swatting call at Coopersville schools. This is Coopersville, Michigan. 14-year-old Bryce Robert Mitchmerheisen is charged with using a computer to commit a crime and false report of a felony. He was involved in a September 4th incident when he called for a potential harm to students and staff at the Ottawa County, one of the Ottawa County schools there. They had to shut down the school and bring in SWAT teams and search for bombs and all of that. We have a case in Littleton where swatting happened outside Denver, Colorado. This is Colorado Springs has experienced several incidents dating back to 2005. Again, hostage calls, holding a father and daughter hostage, have people tied up with a gun ready to shoot them. And as some of our chat room people have pointed out, this kind of also has been involved with celebrities. Justin Bieber, the Kardashian clan have all been victims of this swatting trend. And it's moving from just the United States. There's been reports of this in the UK. And today I got a report of this from Brisbane, Australia. Brisbane police fear more swatting pranks after a call to hoax hostage situation. And the call was placed on 2 p.m. Saturday, threatened that a 15-year-old boy was being held against his will. The special emergency response teams and the K-9 officers joined officers at the residence, but 2 hours later, officers discovered that it was a prank. Now, I have a little suggestion as to how we could possibly deal with this swatting. And one person online referred to swatting as the nexus between our militarized domestic police forces and the online hacker culture.
What are you people? On dope?
Well, just a little. But at least we're not calling in swatting pranks. You kids out there, if you're listening, that shit ain't funny. Don't be calling SWAT on people. I mean, I don't like SWAT breaking down people's doors for pot, but when it comes to bombs and terrorism and hostages, I mean, that's what they're for. Hey, it's 20 after, 4:20 in Denver. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going into the drug war data mines on drug test info. 420 Radio, fighting prohibition since 2012. At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio. 420radio.org is proud to replay Marijuana Compassion and Common Sense with Lanny Swerdlow, RN, from the Inland Empire, California. Lanny Swerdlow is one of the top nurses in the field of cannabis medicine, and he brings his knowledge to the Southern California airwaves on KCAA Radio in Loma Linda. Catch the replays here Tuesdays at 10 Pacific on 420radio.org. Are you a hypocrite? If you live a closeted cannabis lifestyle, you are. Read about 7 people living a closeted cannabis lifestyle who are on the verge of coming out in The Hypocrites by Mara K. Eaton. Available at areyouahypocrite.net. You can purchase the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, also available on iTunes. Check out Mara K. Eaton on Facebook as well. Learn more at areyouahypocrite.net. Arguing for the end of adult marijuana prohibition is easy because we have facts, science, reason, compassion, evidence, truth, and logic on our side. It is even easier when researchers catalog it all for us. Learn how to gather the facts on marijuana use, arrests, seizures, rehabs, drug tests, and more in this edition of Drug War Data Mining. Welcome back, everyone. 22 after the hour. And today in Drug War Data Mining, we're going to talk about Quest Diagnostics and their drug testing index. This is something that's produced by the drug tester every year, and it provides us some good information on the use of drug testing throughout the nation and the rates of positives that are found in drug tests as people look for work. And the headline coming out of Quest Diagnostics today is Workforce Drug Test Positivity Rate increases for the first time in 10 years. The percentage of positive tests among American workers has increased for the first time in more than a decade, fueled by a rise in marijuana and amphetamines, according to an analysis of 8.5 million urine, oral fluid, and hair workplace drug test results released today by Quest Diagnostics. All right, so marijuana's up, amphetamines are up. That's that they're trying to tell us, and this is the first time in a decade where these rates have gone up. Of course, they want to try to attribute this to the legalization of marijuana, and it seems that some of their data may support that. Dr. Barry Sample, yes, the head of the science department for the drug testing industry is named Dr. Sample, says, quote, after years of declines, the prevalence of positive workforce drug tests is increasing. Now, the positivity rate for 7.6 million urine tests in the U.S. workforce was 3.7% in 2013. 3.7%. The drug testing positivity rate in 2012 was 3.5%. So comparing the increases here, that's, what did they say? That's an increase of 6.2%. Or so. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the marijuana one. Excuse me on that one. But anyway, raised from 3.5 to 3.7%. Now, these numbers, I think, are significant. And the reason why is when we look at the drug testing for welfare that's been going on, where all these states are trying to pass laws that say before you can get WIC checks for your kids to be able to eat, or temporary assistance to needy families to be able to pay the rent, before you can do that, you got to pass one of their piss tests. And consistently, we find the rate of positives from the piss tests among the population trying to get welfare is far lower than the general public. The last one I saw was less than 2%. I think Tennessee got 1 or 2 people when they tried. So the welfare drug testing positive is below 2% generally, and the national workforce is 3.5 to 3.7. Looks like they're focusing on the wrong population, doesn't it? Now, looking at just marijuana itself, the positivity rate for marijuana has increased 6.2% nationally. But that's including all states. That also includes Washington and Colorado that have legalized marijuana. When we tease those numbers out, we find that the positivity rate nationwide, excluding Washington and Colorado, is about 5%. About a 5% increase, I should say. The combined U.S. workforce, 6.2% of the U.S. workforce test positive for pot. But it's been a 5% increase among the rest of the 48 states. The increase in Colorado and Washington, 20 and 23% respectively. What do you know? When marijuana is legalized, people think they have a right to use it and then also have a job. What do you know? Now, we've heard reports from employers in Colorado complaining that there are getting fewer and fewer good employees who are able to pass these workplace piss tests. I hope they start considering that maybe the test is the problem and not the people that are using a substance that is now as legal as alcohol in the state of Colorado. Also interesting amongst the data is the decline in prescription opiate positivity. Now, they're referring to drugs used for pain management, such as hydrocodone and oxycodone. That would be your Vicodin and your OxyContin and your Percocet, those type of drugs. The current data show the oxycodone positivity rate declined 8.3% between 2013 and 2012, and in the prior year, declined 12.7%. We've gone from having over 1.1% of the workforce testing positive for prescription opiates to less than 0.88%. So a significant decline in the people that are showing up positive for oxycodones. Along the same timeline, we're seeing significant increases in the use of marijuana. Do you think maybe there's some substitution going on there? Do you think maybe as medical marijuana has become more accepted in more states, that people now are using it instead of OxyContin and hydrocodone, or maybe in adjunct with them, and having to use less oxycodone, less hydrocodone, as we've talked about previously on the show, as numerous studies have shown? That sounds to me like a good thing, doesn't it? The testing of our urine to determine whether or not we are fit to be employees is an abomination of liberty in this country. Dr. Martin Luther King did not fight and die so that his children could be judged by the content of their character and not the color of their skin, just to have them be judged by the content of their urine. And ending this practice of workplace drug testing is the number one reason I do what I do every day. It's the number one reason I'm in this chair talking to you every day. I would have a very lucrative information technology career if not for my armpit hair determining that I was unfit to do a job that I'd been doing successfully for the prior 2 years. Let's work together to end this drug testing. And remember, as the marijuana positivity rate goes up, it just forces their hand to have to abandon these horrendous practices. 420 Radio, your ticket to the Boston Freedom Rally. The International Cannabis Business Conference takes place September 13th and 14th at the Portland Ballroom in the Oregon Convention Center in Portland, Oregon. Featured speakers include Oregon Senator Floyd Przansky, U.S. Congressman Earl Blumenauer, Daily Dish blogger Andrew Sullivan, author Doug Fine, and Harborside CEO Steve D'Angelo. To learn more, visit our website at international.
As part of your organization, Dan, you are essentially targeting 10 or so states for legalizing recreational marijuana: Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, Hawaii. What's your sense of why those states could be ripe for legalization?
Well, the states that you mentioned are most likely to do this legislatively. They don't have a ballot initiative process there like we do in Colorado and Washington, where ballot initiatives were recently passed, and like we do in Maine, California, Arizona, Nevada, and some other states where we expect in 2016 or maybe even sooner initiatives will pass to tax and regulate marijuana.
And Reed, is it a sense that this could end up being another sort of coastal middle America divide or red state, blue state divide?
Well, aside from a few states like Nevada and Arizona that you just mentioned, every other state in that list has one thing in common: they have Democratic legislatures. And in those states, you know, one of the big stories that we're telling at GovBeat is the divide between red America and blue America.
Yeah.
Red America is restricting abortion and cutting taxes on everything, whereas blue America is legalizing gay marriage and legalizing marijuana. So here we see, again, that sort of patchwork nation, as you mentioned. It's the coastal version.
The Marijuana Business Association, or MJBA, are proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show. It is the mission of the MJBA to establish integrity and legitimacy, create common market standards, provide market intelligence, and develop best ethical business practices for participants in the emerging legal marijuana industry, including commercial hemp, medical marijuana, and recreational marijuana for adults. Learn more about the Marijuana Business Association and visit mjba.net to join today. That's mjba.net. Mark Twain once said that when there's a gold rush, it's a good time to be in the pick and shovel business. Today we look at the rapidly evolving markets in the marijuana green rush in our Cannabusiness Chronicles. All right, Big Island Zane brings us his first interview.
Alright, what's up everybody? Zane, Big Island Zane here with 420 Radio, here with the crew at Sweet Relief Meds, here at their beautiful dispensary here in Astoria, Oregon. We're loving it. Yesterday I came in here and I had, you know, a really amazing time, got some amazing meds, and these guys have some amazing stuff to show us. So I'm here with Gary, the owner of Sweet Relief, and Gary has some amazing meds to show us. Gary, tell us a little bit about our Stinky Bitch, your new strain.
The new strain, Stinky Bitch. Just kind of a 27.52, kind of off the scales. We're having it tested by another lab right now just to double check, make sure we're right on. But it was just one of them treasures you never thought you'd find. Right. So, you know, we feel pretty confident about it, where it's going to go next. Right. And hopefully we might be able to put in a cannabis cup one of these days.
For sure. Tell us a little bit about your dispensary and how long you guys been open, and, you know, the changes that have been going on with like the dispensary laws and stuff.
Well, it's been a wild ride from the beginning. You know, Gary and I met over 4 years ago, got the garden shop going at Story Indoor. And, you know, we had this as a dream from a long time ago. And the timing wasn't right, the laws changed, and we dove right into it. And we had a lot of amazing people around us that made this possible. Yeah. And we wanted something that our parents, our family could be proud of, you know, could be comfortable in.
Right. Yeah, like just walking in and looking at, you know, you guys are in downtown Astoria, you know, you guys have a pretty respectable, legit look, you know, of your business, and it really functions in a pretty, you know, functional manner, you know, as compared to some other places.
We're not hiding off on some back street.
Exactly, and it's not, you know, it's not like a shabby thing, you know, you guys are really professional.
We're proud of our product, we're proud of this industry, we're proud of our patients, how they've come through some gnarly, horrible personal situations and are now functional, you know, creative, producing for society where they wouldn't have before.
Well, tell me a little bit about how many strains you guys have and some of your favorites, and what do you guys like? Eric?
We have anywhere between 32 and 36 strains at any given time. You can find us on Weed Maps, Facebook, Leafly, sweet-relief.org. A lot of indicas, a lot of hybrids. We're working on the sativas. Sativas, you know, it's growing.
Higher CBD strains is what we're really looking for.
Okay, that's more balanced.
Okay. Because we got a lot of patients looking for just CBDs and plus just that higher count. It's actually been difficult. I wish more people would kind of step that way towards growing.
Is that your partner outside? She just ran down to the corner.
Growing the percentage is more higher for that than just going high THC. But of course, we like growing high THC strains. It makes us all feel good. But where we want to get more high CBD strains in our store for the patient that they need.
Right. Have a one-stop shop, with the clones and the CBDs, and having everything that people need to go start to finish, from the accessories.
Right. If they're comfortable coming in here, we want them to be comfortable buying anything.
Yeah, you guys do have a pretty good selection of clones. If I can turn this camera around, they have their little clones set up here. Can you tell us a little bit about your clones and what's going on with them?
Everything's tested. Everything's $15 a piece.
Okay.
We feel is a good bargain.
That's nice. Yeah, that's great.
Especially because we pay a premium for these tested clones.
Yeah.
And we make sure anything that's not going to be good for the customer is going to be weeded out. Eric's been great about making sure we got pH water, keeping everything pristine, looking for bugs. We have a garden store, so we know the BS that people have gone through with, oh man, I got a clone, now my whole garden's screwed. We do not want to be the start of anything. So we want people to feel confident with the clones. The pricing, if you want to come get 6, just start your garden, forget your bedroom. You've got an option.
Okay, right on. And also yesterday, I came in and I tried your budget strain, the Mazar. And I, as a person who enjoys some new flavors, I hadn't tried the Mazar, which is an Indian hash plant.
Oh man, yeah.
So it's definitely something that I look for, trying to taste strains of the world.
Yeah.
And it was actually $8 a gram, which I was really impressed with. That's an impressive budget.
Our specials are not bad.
And it's not on numbers. It's whatever I feel that I want to put out that day, or what he chooses. Obviously it won't be over 20, but we've had it 1 out of 21. Luke Skywalker. It's just making the customers happy. We can't have a top shelf and a mid shelf, so that's kind of where we go with 1 to 2 discounts during the week. Then next week we'll pick something else.
We do a discount dab as well. Make sure people, if they need some
$30 on. There's 2 of them usually always at $30. Okay. The rest are $35.
Okay.
We're really trying to help the patient. Plus, we all have overhead to take care of and stuff. So it's a fine line. But we're not here for the get rich quick. We're here for the long run.
Right on. Respect, man.
Yep.
Right on. And can you tell us a little bit about your concentrates and what you guys got going for that? So you guys got some CO2 oils. You guys got some DHL.
Yeah, we do have some Pop Natural CO2.
Bring that this way towards the camera.
We do have some Pop Natural CO2 extractions, syringes. We do have the Canatonic, 32% CBDs and 27% THC. A lot of people have been liking it. Yeah. And but CO2 extraction. We have butane extractions. Right now it looks like about 7 flavors.
7 flavors. He's got his favorite one here. What's that?
Diesel Kush coming up at you.
It's whipped.
Whoa, where are we at?
Really well.
Beauty, eh?
Yes. Yeah. So we're here, Sweet Relief Medicine, here with the crew, enjoying, a nice day here out in Astoria, beautiful Astoria, such a beautiful day, enjoying the great meds here at Sweet Relief. I'd like to say thank you guys for welcoming 420 Radio into your dispensary. We look forward to seeing you guys soon, and thanks for working with us, man. Looking forward to some great meds. Thanks, guys. All right.
Great work by Big Island Zane up there in Astoria, Oregon at Sweet Relief, sweet-relief.org. They were a big help for us a couple weekends ago at our Maria activist retreat in Astoria. Great product. Oh, they were completely out of that sticky bitch by the time we got there. No surprise. When we come back, time for a radical rant on Oregon marijuana education tours that only seem to happen when marijuana's on the ballot. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show.
Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
420 Radio, freeing your mind 24 hours a day. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org. In the interest of fair and balanced journalism, the Russ Belville Show presents the anti-drug public service announcement of the day.
The marijuana can mess you up. Right. We've been getting high for what, 15 years? Nothing's ever happened. Did I get into all the drugs and start mugging people? Nah, didn't do anything. In fact, I'd say I'm exactly the same as when I smoked my first joint.
Eddie, did you even look for a job today?
No, Ma.
Marijuana can make nothing happen to you, too.
This has been the anti-drug public service announcement of the day. To cure this sort of reefer madness, listen to the Russ Belville Show every weekday on 420radio.org. New Approach Oregon is a coalition of Oregon citizens who believe that treating marijuana use as a crime has failed, costing taxpayers millions in law enforcement resources. Our approach will regulate, tax, and legalize marijuana for adults in Oregon. We can move Oregon forward and create new revenue for critical services. Visit our website at newapproachoregon.com or our page on Facebook at New Approach.
We can go to smoke. We need a cul-de-sac. Look for a
cul-de-sac. Look at this. This is nice and it's quiet.
This place is aching for some weed smoking.
You think we're going to be safe here?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Keep your eye out for cops. Okay, all right.
There are little pipes.
I got the pipe.
What is this?
This is Louis the 13th.
So that doctor was cute. He liked you?
Oh, he didn't like me. Nobody likes me. Only men that are interested in my body are morticians. Come on.
It smells good.
Give me a pipe. Give me a pipe.
Oh, these are okay. Ready now? Suck it in while I light it. Oh my God.
Whoopsie.
Are you stoned? Wait, is this stoned?
No, I'm not stoned.
You're getting there. Here, hold on. Okay. Oh, wait, stay calm. Okay, go. Suck it. Are you not? Suck it in. You're not sucking it in.
Last time someone told me to suck it in a car. It was 40 years ago. I'm not feeling anything yet.
I'm getting the contact high.
Oh, God. I'm feeling so relieved.
It is interesting. They have the Winter Olympics in Vancouver, and the torch is heading across Canada right now, and already in BC, they're lighting torches going, we're waiting. Come on, you folks just came from Capitol Hill. Come on down. Where do you go? How are you, my friends? Grab some seats. You were caught in... What? Oh, that's your old boss. Did you fuck him? Sorry. Okay. Not an inappropriate question to ask in Washington. No. And he's going, no. She was just a page. It's okay. And it's weird, in California this summer, all the state parks caught on fire, which was sad because these parks are full of weed. It's bad news. It's like, even the guys fighting the fires are like, oh my God, make another rainbow, Tommy. Oh my God. It's weird. Even Smokey the Bear is going, only you can. Shit, I knew this. And California weed is kick-ass fucking weed. This is weed that even Jamaicans go, oh, don't smoke that weed, man. It's California catatonic. It's the type of weed you hit it and it's like, fuck. Shit. I'm not doing something. What is it? All right, breathe. And you get so stoned, you end up sitting on your couch for a week to the point where your cat's going, get up, you asshole! I've been eating my own shit for the last 2 days. I know mellow, but this is fucking ridiculous. And if they legalize it, they're going to have to regulate it, and they're going to have to put a warning on a box of joints. It's going to have to say, Surgeon General has determined this will make your music awesome. Even Yanni. And if you thought you enjoyed cartoons before, like, and if they're going to have ads, they're going to have ads, and it'll be like, instead of the Marlboro Man, it'll be the Mendocino Man. It'll be a cowboy in the back of a horse going, shit, am I thirsty? God damn. Even the horse will be going, I don't know where the fuck I am. God damn, I got a little cotton mouth here, God damn it.
You can't handle the truth.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
You have offended my family.
Hey, this is great, man.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
I know nothing.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
We don't need no stinking budget.
Homosexuality, no. Immorality, general.
How in the century you have slurred the meaning of the words we, the people.
Be warned, this is not your mother's marijuana.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant. Oregon marijuana education only occurs when marijuana's on the ballot. This is the latest in our continuing series of reports on Oregon marijuana election shenanigans. You can find all my reports and the supporting documents at the website, radicalruss.com. We also now have a GoFundMe page because I just got some notices. Here's my one from Jefferson County on my Freedom of Information Act request, which here in Oregon is called a open records request. And I got the bill from Clatsop County, District Attorney Josh Marquis' home county, where they tell me it's going to cost $442.50 to do my request. That'll be the cost of the worker time and resources to get my open records request. So in order to do that, I need some help from you. I've set up a GoFundMe page. It's at gofundme.com/FightSabet. It's all lowercase. GoFundMe.com/FightSabet. We're already a third of the way for our first Astoria open records request. We've also got requests pending in Jefferson County and with the Oregon District Attorney's listserv. And it looks like I've got another person I'm going to have to make an open records request on based on today's rant. You know, my colleague Jennifer Alexander has been doing some incredible work digging through the Internet archives to expose the so-called community education on marijuana for what it is. Blatant political propaganda funded by the taxpayers to defeat marijuana legalization. First, Jennifer uncovered the calendar of events for Best Care treatment services dating back to 2010. Now understand, folks, Best Care has taken down their website completely. You can't get to anything on their website since we've been doing this investigation. But they've forgotten there's this little thing called archive.org, the Internet Archive, which holds cached pages, snapshots, if you will, of the website from various points throughout the years. And so she found the calendar of events all the way up through August, up until they had taken down the website. And as we were looking at this, she uncovered the calendar of events, and remember that Rick Treelevin of Best Care was quoted by the Oregonian as saying, quote, "The summit has been held for several years in October," end quote, and never received any complaints. Now, that prompted me to investigate the 2012 summit, and we reported that on a previous Radical Rant, because in 2012, marijuana legalization was on the ballot in the form of Measure 80. Funny thing, though, as Treelevin said that the summit's been held for several years, it wasn't held in 2013. And there wasn't a 2011 summit either. Now, back when Measure 74, Measure 74 was our marijuana dispensary initiative, when it was on the ballot in 2010, there was marijuana training. What do you know? Searching for the word marijuana among the calendar of events that Best Care had posted up until mid-August, and including the October 2014 summit that they're still planning on having, we find in 2014, legalization on the ballot, 2 Oregon marijuana summits, 1 national summit. 2013, nothing on the ballot, nothing on marijuana. 2012, legalization on the ballot, 2 Oregon marijuana summits. 2011, nothing on the ballot, nothing on marijuana. 2010, dispensaries on the ballot, 1 Oregon marijuana training session. Now, we've already shown that the 2014 summit featured speakers, or is going to feature speakers Kevin Sabet and Eric Martin. They were also the same speakers who were clearly urging no votes on legalization at the 2012 summit. Sabet went so far as to say to the summit audience, quote, "Is the right to get high and buy legal pot worth the risk to kids in the form of greater addiction and learning deficits, the risk to society to have another legal entity advertising an addictive substance, and the risk to our economy in the form of greater safety and health costs like car crashes, the cost to health care, and the cost of a newly regulated system?" End quote. But now we have evidence that the official spokesperson for the No on Measure 91 campaign, a woman named Mandy Puckett, has been using her position as a substance abuse prevention counselor for Deschutes County, Oregon, to campaign against the current legalization initiative and the initiative that failed in 2012. She has been coordinating and promoting the supposedly educational summit on taxpayer time, while simultaneously working as the No on 91 spokesperson and, apparently, the spokesperson for the Oregon chapter of Kevin Sabet's Project SAM, a national anti-legalization propaganda organization. In an official response to Representative Blumenauer's call for a federal investigation into these Oregon marijuana election shenanigans, Puckett explained, quote, by the way, before I go on, I have to point out, and let me get the screen grab on this, just so I can just so I can prove this. The note, this is their official note that went out from the No on 91 campaign. You can see right there, No on 91, right? This is from the No on 91 response to Blumenauer's reckless accusations. Reckless spelled W-R-E-C-K-L-E-S-S. Apparently, Representative Blumenauer did not get into any auto crashes when making these accusations. But anyway, just being pedantic. Anyway, Mandy Puckett, in this protest, see if I can find where in the official response, she explained, quote, "My job was to help apply for state and federal grants and work with the local coalition to use that money to educate people about the dangers of using addictive substances." End quote. Apparently, only in the years when marijuana legalization is on the ballot. The document further explains, quote, "On August 21st, Puckett took a leave of absence from her substance abuse prevention job to work on the No on 91 campaign." End quote. Telling us that perhaps she understands she's not supposed to be campaigning on the taxpayers' time. But Puckett was working hard to promote the No on 91 agenda well prior to stepping down at Deschutes County. On May 28, 2014, we uncovered the meeting agenda for the Jefferson County Prevention Task Force, held during normal working hours, which showed the following entries. Prevention website services needed, Mandy. SAM affiliate report, Mandy. Planning committee for fall conference in Madras and Oregon education tour, Mandy. Save the date for October 1st and 2nd, 2014, Mandy. Puckett and No on 91 make no attempt to camouflage that involvement. Quote, and this is Mandy Puckett's quote, "This educational summit in Madras, the accompanying tour of Oregon cities, including the timing of the events, has been in planning stages for nearly 2 years, fall of 2012 to spring of 2014 to be exact, long before Measure 91 was on the ballot." End quote. So, if this event was merely educational, why did the planning that began in fall of 2012 Following the previous summit that was openly lobbying against legalization, why did they not aim for 2013 and instead aimed for 2014? Claiming they planned long before Measure 91 was on the ballot is pretty disingenuous when after the defeat of Measure 80 in November of 2012, ABC News was reporting that Measure 80 proponent, quote, Paul Stanford, for his part, has vowed to push the law again in 2014 unless the state legislature passes it first, end quote. And in March of 2013, remember, planning going from fall of 2012 to spring of 2014, in March of 2013, the Oregonian reported, quote, Anthony Johnson said the coalition would seek to place an initiative on the November 2014 ballot, end quote. Y'all were damn aware there was going to be at least one legalization proposal on the ballot in 2014. There was a possibility of 3. Now, on July 19th and 20th of 2014, shortly after the May 28th meeting of the SAM affiliate report and all that, back in July of 2014, Sabet's Project SAM held a national summit in Florida that was being promoted by Puckett and Best Care. Now, we're investigating whether Puckett and other state prevention staff were in attendance, where Kevin Sabet's opening plenary detailed, quote, what are our messages in 2014? Where are we with Alaska and Oregon and beyond? What are the 3 key issues you need to know this year? What should every affiliate be doing in 2014? End quote. The SAM Summit also featured representatives of the Colorado and Washington SAM chapters, who are also listed as presenters at the 2014 Oregon Summit. Those representatives at the SAM Summit in 2012 explained the, quote, overall picture in Colorado and how you can use this in your community, end quote, and, quote, the status of legalization in Washington and what lessons can be brought to your community, end quote. Those presentations were followed by, quote, how you can put a group together to counter marijuana ballot and legislative measures, end quote. That was delivered by, quote, reps from Oregon, Alaska, SAM affiliates, and board, end quote. We will find out who those Oregon reps were. Because if one of those reps was Mandy Puckett, they must have informed her to be very careful about the appearance of electioneering at the summit. As Puckett explained, quote, later, when it was announced the measure would be on the November ballot, we took extra steps to include in our work plan and advise presenters to not speak about the ballot measure, end quote. Representative John Huffman of the Dalles, Oregon, also tried to paint the summit as merely educational, quote, these summits have been held over the years to help educate about the harm that marijuana, drugs, and alcohol can have on youth. I went to one or two in Jefferson County a couple years ago, long before a ballot measure proposing to legalize recreational marijuana was created, end quote. Representative, that couple of years ago was 2012, when a measure proposing to legalize recreational marijuana was already on the ballot. One of my listeners, an attorney from Bend, Oregon, attended that 2012 summit and told me the whole damn thing was incredibly political and that speakers routinely exhorted the audience to vote no on Measure 80 and to spread that message to their friends and their family. You can get the details on this at radicalruss.com. Plus, I've got scribd documents uploaded of all these flyers and emails and all the stuff that we're using as evidence so far. You can get the entire collection by going to rad-r.us. What's the slash OR Summit, I believe it is. OR Summit at rad-r.us. That's all the time we got for Hour 1, but stay tuned for Hour 2. We'll continue talking about this Oregon marijuana educational shenanigans, plus an Off the Warpath piece on the NFL and domestic violence. Chuck Diesel will join us for Groovin' Thursday. We got some Talib Kweli and Madlib for you. And we'll talk about your right to film the cops, plus a couple of stupid prohibition stories to end the day. I'm Radical Russ for Randy Quast. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.